Hi everyone, and welcome to iRacing Without Tears, Episode 5, Patience. It's something I ran out of during this race, and it was a little bit costly. I made a lot of mistakes because I was overdriving, so it seemed like a good topic because at the end of the race, when I remembered to be patient, it got better. It's been a long time since I made a full video, 5 months in fact. A lot has changed in that time, and that's the reason for the delay. Life was not handing me any opportunities to race much, and even when I could, I didn't have time to put together a video about it. Since I'm no master editor, these little videos actually take a fair chunk of my time. But thank you guys for your patience and for sticking around. Anyhow, I'm back at it, and we'll see how often I can churn one out. I'm hoping every couple of weeks, but I'll try to get at least one video out per month. Today I want to talk about patience while driving in your race. Patience is the difference between finishing at the checkers or finishing at the wall. In the thick of the race, it's really easy to let your aggression get the better of you, to make some heroic opportunity and end up either falling back or taking yourself out. It takes a fair bit of discipline to constrain yourself, but it matters. I think it's well understood that I'm no champion driver, and if you're here looking for technique tips, you're at the wrong channel. I'm all about the state of mind that we drive in. Ultimately, I think we all compete against ourselves as much as we do against the other drivers. I know I do. And my wins and losses are scored more by my own assessment of my performance than they are about where I am in the field. At the beginning of the 2020 Season 3, my trusty old Pro Mazda was replaced with the Indy Pro 2000, or the PM18, and this threw a wrench into my driving. In fact, it threw a wrench into pretty much every driver in the series. The car is in many ways similar, but as you start peeling back the wrapper, you find out that it drives nothing like it. It required every driver to relearn or unlearn old peculiar skills that they had mastered to drive the old car. The new car also brought out a lot of new people to the series. Some are exceptional, some are professional drivers, and there's some, of course, who have some growing to do. When you watch a real-world race, you probably notice that the race up front isn't the only race happening. The race up front often isn't even the most interesting race going on, compared to the fights further back down the order. And this is true in iRacing also. At least I know it's true in road racing. And this brings me to what I really wanted to talk about, how patience can affect the result of your race. You've probably already noticed that we're at Sebring in the Indy Pro 2000. I qualified 10th of 19 starters for this one. I get around Sebring pretty quick, but not anywhere near as fast as the guys at the top. As discussed in episode 3, I practice a lot before I race. I often put in more time in practice than I will in the total races for a week. What that gives me is some consistency. I may not be the fastest, but I'm hitting my marks most of the time, and over the course of the race, that becomes important. It also means that I know my alternate lines, and I know my contingencies for when things go wrong. It means I'm not guessing as much as others might be, and I know what might work. All that time spent requires patience. But today, I let my impatience get ahead of me, and that's what we're going to look into. While I made plenty of mistakes in those last few laps, the really costly one is the one that landed me here in the grass. I was lucky not to hit the wall. This is the end of lap 4. There's 13 laps to go. I lost 3 positions by trying to defend 1. Had I just let the number 11 car have it, I'd be in 12th position instead of 14th, which is where I am now. He was pressing and I reacted to it. This is early in the race. It wasn't worth it. The reason why will become clear later. At least I'm in clean air now, with some time to consider my poor judgment. I'm frustrated, but I know who made that mistake. Me. And the solution is, drive better. Be more patient. There's time to fix this, but there's no more time for big errors. The car in position 13 now doesn't seem fast, so I'm pretty sure that I can catch him. And with no further mistakes, I might be able to catch the number 14 car. He's in 12th. That'll get me back to where I was. So it's time to settle down and do some recovery drive. I've taken a breath, I've reset my mind, and now I'm just treating these as practice laps. When I catch up, my plan is just to put pressure on until the other guy makes a mistake, rather than trying to make a move that could result in another spin. It doesn't take long. On lap 6, along Big Bend and headed down toward the hairpin, I'm able to get close enough to put a little pressure on the number 17. As hoped, he makes an error in Cunningham. This allowed me by. The next car is a little slower than me, but he's also a very clean and consistent driver. Again, the plan is just to pressure and wait for an error. No more heroics from me. I intend to complete the race. By the beginning of lap 8, I've run down that number 14 car, and I get an easy pass before turn 1. Something I didn't realize until I was building this video, car 11 was in the pits as we begin lap 9. Car 13 also pits, so suddenly I've inherited 10th place. That's right, car 11. That's the guy who pressured me on lap 4. So not only was my reaction to him harmful to my race, it was also pointless. I should have just let him go. Behind me, the number 14 continues to run pretty flawlessly. He's good in the corners, but he can't keep up in the straights. So I just need to make sure I keep extending when I can and not give him any chances in the turns. He takes the high-speed corners a little slowly. Turn 1 and Sunset, I make lots of time on him in those. By lap 13, I've got lots of room behind me, and I notice that the number 7 car ahead is losing a lot of time based on my F3 black box. I don't know why he was so slow all of a sudden, but since I could smell blood, I decided to really get on it and maybe get his position. My patience evaporated and was replaced with stupidity. Exiting turn 4, I went wide into the dirt, and off I went again. But again, by luck, I didn't damage the car. As I worked my way to get back on track, that number 14 car got his spot back, and well, I'm not okay with this. Again, to reset my head, dust off, go back to it. 5 laps to go. I'm going to have to be as good as I can be if I want to get this back. He's 7 seconds ahead of me as I get back up to speed, but I know he's slow in the straights and in turn 1 and sometimes in Sunset. 7 seconds in 5 laps is a tall order. But it worked, skipping to the beginning of lap 17. This is the last lap. I've got him caught up, but I don't want to pooch this. No crazy lunges, no heroic moves. This has to go smoothly. And I've spent enough time chasing this guy to know where I'm going to do it, and I'm confident it's going to stick. So there you go. Not my best finish. P8 out of 19 starters isn't one you brag about, but I'm okay with it. Top half of the pile. And some really great battles along the way, including probably the most satisfying 5 laps of any race I've ever done. Focus is more important than pace. I made so many minor and major errors in the first 13 laps of this race that I probably lost at least 15 seconds of track time, maybe more. I was a minute and 9 seconds behind the leader. Had I not lost time on the grass or making other obvious errors, I probably would have ended this race in 5th. I was lucky I didn't end my race early on at least 2 occasions. Nobody else had any control over this outcome but me. Nobody caused me to spin. It was a clean, professional race, at least from my seat. The enemy for me was my own patience and my own overestimations of my skill. When you have a race like this, take a moment and think about it. Think about how much you cost yourself and sometimes what you cost others. Because as much as you don't want to let impatience end your race, that other guy doesn't want your impatience to end his race even more. Your impatience is your hardest opponent. Once you can beat that, the other drivers really aren't that tough. If you sat through this whole video, please give a like or subscribe if you haven't already. Take care, and I'll see you next time.